Yo, 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 let's get it. Here we are back again, man. We got our boy Tucker Carlson with a priest uh explaining how he did an exorcist one time and the person who was getting possessed during the exorcist started morphing. So let's check this out. See what we got going on in terms of this person morphing during their exorcism. That's crazy work. Hold on, let me fix the screen real quick. I don't know why the screen is like this. Y'all pardon me real quick. Let me just adjust the screen real quick. It's so annoying when this happens. Doop. Stack up a little bit. Yeah. All right, so let's see what we got. We got Tucker Carlson talking to this priest. Let's get it.
What are demons? So, actually, according to Pseudo Dionysius, and then also Thomas Aquinas, and then pretty much the whole theological tradition from that time, from Dionysius on, basically held that in the very beginning, when God created, what He did is He created the entire hierarchy of angels instantaneously, all at once. And these angels were all the angels were created, and Thomas Aquinas talks about what they call the three instances of the angels. So when they were first created, how they understand things is the opposite of ours. So when we want to know something, we'll actually study a number of different individual things that are like that, so we can get a general sense, and then from that we'll abstract a kind of a conceptual understanding of what these things actually are, what their nature actually is. But that's because we use our senses to come to know things, right? And this is why, even as human beings, we know that if someone isn't in contact with their senses, we know there's something wrong with them, right? Whereas the angels and also the demons are the exact opposite. All their knowledge was infused. So they know exactly what the essence and nature of every created thing that exists. And this is actually a diagnostic that you can use in session, because we get people that try and fake that they're possessed, and there's a variety of reasons why they do that. And so we will, one of the things is, if you ask them a technical, theological, or philosophical question, if it's a human being, you can see they have to think about it, and then they'll kind of reason their way through it. That's not how demons work. They'll immediately give you the answer, just immediate. They'll just say it's X. And they don't have to think, because for them, all their knowledge is infused, both the concepts, but then as things occur.
Have you ever seen demons answer esoteric questions?
Yes. Yeah. There's been cases, I had a case, it's one that I'm actually working on right now, where the demons in this particular case have made theological distinctions that there's no way this person could have ever known those distinctions. And they're, let me give you an example. So he made the distinction between consummatum est and finitum est, which is a Latin phrase. So consummatum est is that the sacrifice is complete. So in relationship to the sacrifice of Christ, he says consummatum est, and then he gives up his spirit, right? So it's completed. He's finally completed everything that was necessary in order for our full redemption and our full healing and all of that. But it's not finished yet. The finishing occurs once he's buried. So they have to take him down, Our Lady embraces him, and then they put him in the tomb, right? So that he made that distinction. And I'm like, this is one of those indicators that you're not going to see those kinds of distinctions being made by a human being who has never studied theology in any sense.
And this is not a person who has?
No, nothing. I mean, she finished high school, and that's about it. So
seriously,
yeah. And there's other times when they've made distinctions that are just like.
Just to recap what he just said. So basically, you're dealing with a demon when they don't have to think or use any of their senses to answer whatever question you have. Basically, the knowledge of everything is already infused in them. So they already have the understandings, they already have knowledge of everything. So a lot of the times when you're dealing with these type of things, the priest is saying, once they ask them a question, they just kind of blurt it out. You feel me? You're dealing with somebody that knows nothing about science, but if they're possessed by a demon, you ask them questions. The demon possessing the person will just blurt out the answer as if they knew it all along, which they did, but the person didn't. Let us continue.
In fact, one time in the Catholic tradition, we actually believe Our Lady was assumed into heaven because she was so pure and so perfect and sinless that God assumed her body into heaven. And so it was the feast of that day, and I was doing a series of exorcisms, and I asked the demon, I said, or I commanded him to tell me, I mentioned the fact that this was her a moment of greatest glory. And he just looks at me flatly, which demons lie all the time, but you know they're telling the truth. There's ways we can ferret that out too, but they'll just give you a pan. They'll just pan you and just say, no, that's not how that works. Right? And I said, what was it then? He said, it was her moment of greatest triumph. She had gone through life without committing sin, and now she's entering into heaven triumphant. I said, was it crowning of heaven, queen of heaven and earth? Because we believe that as Catholics. And he says, no, that was her moment of greatest honor. I'm like, okay, that makes sense, because honor is praise or recognition for excellence. And so God was recognizing her excellence in this way. And so I finally just commended to him, well, what was it? He said, standing under the cross in perfect virtue. Later, he revealed that that he said, other than the actual passion and death of Jesus Christ, he said it was the most glorious event in all of history.
The demon said that.
And the demon said that.
I lost $50,000 because I didn't buy a domain name. My advice, head to Wix and grab yours now.
So I'm assuming that the demon is speaking through the voice of the person he possesses.
Sometimes they speak through the person's own voice. There are the times where they'll assume the characteristics of a voice that is proper to their nature. And so Thomas Aquinas makes the observation that the way they manifest, so one of the ways that, you're dealing with something that's demons, we call it morphing. The person will actually change shape, so their countenance or their face will change. And then, it takes on the characteristics that are proper to the demon's personality.
You've seen people's faces change?
Morphing is about 90% of what you see.
What are the changes like?
It's very subtle, all the way from just recently I prayed over a rather prominent individual, and when I looked at him after the prayers, it can be something very subtle where it's just there's a complexion that in the writers and the authors, they call it the cherrywood look, where they take on this face where their face turns like this cherrywood color that's impossible for us as human beings to have or replicate on a natural level. So cherrywood. It's kind of like this red-brown color that you're like, yeah, that's not a natural color. So it'll be everything from something very subtle like that all the way to complete morphing where they change into the shapes of animals. One case, actually there's been a couple of cases I've had where women, very feminine looking, all of a sudden morph into it looking like completely like a man. So you see, these are some of those, the morphing.
While you're sitting there?
While you're praying usually is when it actually ends up happening.
And you look down and the woman you're praying over is now a man?
Looks like a man, yeah. And it's not just me seeing it, because we have a team that's there present at the time. For a variety of different reasons. They provide different functions, but and they'll very often see the same thing. So they're all seeing the same thing.
Have you seen people's pupils change?
Yes, that's pretty common. So a lot of times they'll hyperdilate and turn very black, or they'll another more common thing. I don't see it too often, but because certain exorcists will see some things much more regularly than others. But a lot of times their eyes will roll all the way into the back of their head, so all you see is white. So you'll see those. So those are the kinds of things that you'll actually see. But the morphing is we call it one of the preternatural signs that someone's possessed. They're possessed.
How do their voices change?
There's two things that they change. A lot of times they'll change in just the tone. They'll start sounding like a man sometimes. Now, once in a while, the demons will use the person's own vocal voice, and so and part of the reason they want to do that is because they don't want you to hear what the characteristics of their own voice. And the reason I say that is because of the fact that an experienced exorcist, it's like a boxer. When you box, when you get into the ring, you can watch all sorts of videos about this guy's technique. It's not until you get in the ring and box with this guy that you actually get a sense of, okay, this is what this guy is actually like. So the reason the demons don't want to attack you, especially if you're an experienced exorcist, is based on a philosophical principle, which is the cause is always some way in the effect. So anytime they attack you, they reveal something about themselves in that process, and then you can use it against them later. So as an experienced exorcist, they really don't want to get involved with you, although a lot of times Christ still requires them, but they don't want to attack you, because then once they attack you, you can find out what his psychology is, what his patterns of thinking are, etc. when he's attacking you.
How do they attack you?
One is the oppression, where they attack you from the outside. The other one is that it's not obsession in the proper sense, because obsession is something that's ongoing. But what they'll do is they have the ability to affect our imagination and our emotions. So a lot of times what they'll do is when they attack the exorcist, they'll put a perspective on an image in your imagination. So for example, a guy when he's first married, he thinks his wife is wonderful. He gets all this emotional delight because our emotions are moved by what's in our imagination, the perspective specifically. So when he's first married, she's wonderful, she's great, I love my wife, look how beautiful it is, she just brought me a beer, isn't that wonderful, etc. Then after 10 years, his perspective on her changes because they've had fights and things of that sort. And so when he sees her, even though she hasn't changed, his perspective on her, and so his emotional response changes. Well, demons can put that perspective on your imagination, so they can actually do that. And this is one of the ways that they can actually affect relationships. In fact, the first thing they ever do in a marriage is they try and put a perspective on one of the spouses or both of the spouses to psychologically divide the people, so the person thinks they see something bad in the other spouse when it's actually not there. So, but anyway, what they'll do is when they attack the exorcist, they'll put that perspective on your image in your imagination, but that perspective then tells me something about his.
That's interesting you said that. Dread's sticking up, but that's interesting you said that, because a lot of times it's weird. It's like you've ever felt like you've had girlfriends and it was always just stuff in your head telling you what they're doing, and you're thinking it's yourself telling you that person's doing something when you could be almost above it though. Like they could be doing something, but it's just like somebody or something is just in your head constantly. They're doing something, they're doing something, they're doing something, they're doing something. Even when they're with you, you just feel like they're always being funny. You feel me? I do kind of agree with that. I do kind of agree with what he's saying when it comes to that. I do feel like, now don't get me wrong, like if your significant other is cheating, 9 times out of 10 you'll see the signs. But if it's just like you're just chilling, it's like I've had situations where it's just the overwhelming stress. Like, why do I just feel like my woman is just doing something? Like somebody's just telling me they're doing something. Like I'm certain that they're doing something. So I definitely agree with that, man. I feel like there's definitely forces that come in between relationships that can, good relationships that can prevail. Forces will definitely try to influence, each of your minds. That's why it's so important to be you and your significant other have to be prayed up, have to pray. You feel me? Because there's so many dark forces out here that are always they're working 24 hours to get you to hell. You know.
Psychology. So I've written 3 books, or 4 books actually, in psychology from the way St. Thomas Aquinas understands it, right? So, and developed it based upon that. It does incorporate a lot of the stuff in modern psychology, but it actually gives a foundation to it based on an authentic anthropology and not just some wacky view that we have of human beings. And so the first time I started to be an exorcist, I just started watching the psychological patterns of demons, because I figured, well, they have a natural law. In other words, each demon has its own natural law, that it's inclined to specific things and not to others. So as human beings, we have a natural law because we're inclined toward things like marriage, eating, living in community and society and that type of thing. So we have a set of inclinations that God placed in us. Demons have that same thing, except theirs is tailored to their specific nature, because each demon's nature is different. Their species, technically speaking, is different. And so that's why in a session, when they manifest, when one demon comes to the fore and the other one leaves, the morphing will change to accommodate that. And so you immediately know, okay, I'm dealing with this guy rather than that guy. And actually, after you've dealt with the same demon over and over again, you can do a session and just start out on a new case, and then once he manifests, you recognize who he is.
You'll see the same demon in different people?
Yes. Yeah.
interesting, family. Yeah, that's real interesting. Tell me what you guys think. A lot of us are really, well, we all are out here really battling dark forces. You know, I forgot the pass. I gotta get the passage, but matter of fact, I'm gonna pull it up. So we just gotta remember, family. What is it? Ephesians. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual weaknesses in high places. That's what we wrestle with, y'all. Ephesians 6:12. Y'all go to that passage. Let me know what y'all think about that. Like, that is what we are up against. We are up against principalities, powers, rulers of darkness in this world, and spiritual wickedness in high places. That's something really to think about, family. Really to think about. Nothing to stress about because we just got to pray. That's just what it is. It's just awareness. But you got to stay prayed up. You and your significant other, your family, pray for your people every night, bro. Pray for your family every night. Pray for your loved ones. Pray for the children. Just pray, man. Just pray and believe. But yeah, y'all get up in the comment section. Let me know how y'all feel about this, man. What are demons to y'all? You know, 9 times out of 10, you never know. You out here thinking somebody just on your heels for no reason, whatever the case may be. Man, those are probably demons and dark forces. You feel me? You got more reactions coming soon. Y'all get them in the comment section. Let me know how you feel. Till next time. Salute.